Well, hello internets, here we are. We have ourselves a little bit of a vlog here. I wasn't gonna make this here vlog because, well, I've been trying to keep my vlogs on a bit of a positive side. However, I was editing up the road footage that I shot, and I kind of decided to shoot a little bit of a vlog type of clip and see what I could make out of the footage and such. Well, I've been in this apartment now for almost a year. I think I'm about 8 months or so, or 7, 8 months. I'm not quite sure where I am. And I had my first frustrating experience with the landlords, or I guess I should say the maintenance personnel. And even then, it wasn't a extremely frustrating experience like them ignoring maintenance requests or them doing poor work, or like my past experiences were with other landlords and such. They are doing some improvements around the building here, and they scheduled 2 days to get the job done. And I had everything cleaned, everything prepared, everything moved so they could get the job done. And the first day they no-showed at all. No-showed, no call, no nothing. I waited all day, fought chronic pain, fought fatigue, stayed awake, was stressed out, had anxiety because of them showing up, them coming into my apartment. I don't like strangers coming into my space, much less having to turn my life upside down for them to come into my space. And day 2 rolls around, and they were supposed to start at like 8 o'clock in the morning and work till 4 o'clock was the time that the notice said. And they were in the building because I seen them around. They seen me going out to walk the dog. They knew that I was here. They knew that I was around. And one of the guys stopped me in the hallway and said, "Hey, you're going to be around?" And I go, "Well, yeah, I'm going to be here." And about 40 minutes or so before 4 o'clock, there's a knock on the door. And hey, we're here to do the job. And I'm like, "Well, you got 40 minutes to do the job. After that, you're not authorized to be here, because that's what the form said, right?" By then, I was already tired. Keep in mind, I had just gone through a few rough days because of the winter storm or spring storm we had, and as well as a few other things I was trying to recover from, and then to have the anxiety and stuff on top of all this. Plus, it was the end of the month and I had to pay my bills. My rent was due, groceries. I have food enough to get by until the final days of the month where payday is, not to wait for a few more days and things like that. And he goes, "Well, we can't get this job done in that kind of time," and he walks away. Well, later on that evening, I get a phone call from the head office. I'm assuming it might have been the office here because it was a local number, but who knows with computers nowadays where the numbers come from. And they basically said, "Well, you denied our maintenance man entry to your apartment, so therefore you're going to have to make time the next day, so day 3, for them to show up." And I said, "Actually, I did not deny them entry to my apartment. I waited all day for them to show up, all day for them to come and get the job done, and they show up 40 minutes before the end time. Now, they could have just as easily started the job, did the prep work, and then come back the next day to finish it, just like what they had budgeted the first 2 days to have done." And keep in mind, right, if the job was If the prep work job would have went 10-15 minutes overtime past 4 o'clock, I wouldn't have kicked them out of my apartment. I would have let them work an extra, half an hour just because until 4:30, 5 o'clock. It didn't really matter. By then I was already frustrated because I had wasted 2 whole days of my life where I could have been working on the camper, getting things ready for the summer, or I could have been paying bills, making sure there was money in the account for rent, which, by the way, there wasn't. Making sure there was bills paid, making sure things were buttoned up, maybe even have bought groceries so I wouldn't have been stressed and such. But anyways, we made another arrangement for between 8 and 5 the following day, which was Friday, I believe. And then Friday rolls around, and yeah, they're back in the building painting. And they seen me walking the dog. They knew I was around still. Friday at about 2 o'clock, 2:10 in the afternoon, there came a knock on the door. Yeah, we're here to do, such and such, right? Which, after waiting all day, once again, they came this time. And they came, did their job, did their work, and they were all cleaned up and gone by about 15 minutes after 3. So roughly, that is what, that would have been what, an hour, hour and 5 minutes. So they really couldn't have done that kind of job on that day there. They showed up an hour before 4 o'clock. It's like they didn't want to do the job, and they were pushing it and pushing it, hoping that it would get rescheduled until next month, kind of a thing. But it's not really a frustrating experience in terms of tarnished, spoiled my experience with renting with this company by far. It's a minor inconvenience, but it was the fact that they made me wait essentially 3 days almost, and they couldn't even have been considerate enough to have called me from the office and said, hey, our maintenance men are busy huffing paint, or they got called to a larger, more important emergency. They can't make it. Can we reschedule for some time after the long weekend? The maintenance man seen me in the complex here walking the dog. They could have easily said hey, we're not going to make it, stuff like that. They obviously had my number to call me, it's on my paperwork, and they obviously had it. So it was a little bit frustrating. So I sat here for a bit trying to think, well, am I going to wait the next couple of days after the long weekend to go out and get my running around done, or am I just going to do it? So yeah, that was pretty much my frustrating 3 days per se in the nutshell. Still didn't get my running around completely done because I was tired and stressed from everything. However, I did get the important things done, paid some bills, bought some groceries, stuff like that. Washed the truck. It was dirty from the melt, from the dust from sitting, kind of a thing, and got it good to go. I didn't get to the fan mail box to check out the fan mail or my stack of bills that kind of comes to the same box, but I'm sure it'll still be there in a few days when I make another run out. As well as I was gonna go to the Princess Auto and do some browsing. However, I find lately, the last year, my enjoyment that I used to get out of browsing has been hampered. Maybe it's the whole COVID thing, because people seem to be very unhappy nowadays. They view you as some kind of threat to their health. They don't really want you in their store because, well, you're going to spread some kind of disease. Even though chances are if you've got it, well, they've got it already, kind of a thing. And they could be just as easily giving it to you as you could to them, especially with a guy like me that really hasn't gone much anywhere, really, in the last month, much less them, who has probably served 100 customers this week already, kind of a thing. I used to go browsing like the big box orange retail store or the big box blue hardware store or Princess Auto Walmart and stuff, and sometimes I would buy little nicky knackies or little thingies for projects, and sometimes something I seen on the shelf 3 months earlier would come back when I was doing a project and say, hey, that store has what I need, and then I would go down and get it. I used to walk the retail stores in the wintertime as a form of exercise. It was a semi-safe indoor environment with no real dangerous ice or obstacles to slip on, unlike walking in the park where they don't shovel the paths and there's buried ice underneath the fresh snow and nobody else around. So if you fell, you could be there for an hour and a half until you drug yourself back to your vehicle to crawl inside. I've been through that, especially when I fell this winter. I was laying in the parking lot. People were there, wouldn't help me. I had to drag myself to an area that was less icy and managed to prop myself up on a vehicle to get my footing back under me to get back up, and that's what kind of messed me up for a few months this winter, because I had to recover from that essentially injury, because the way things go, a small injury with me, something I used to be able to recover from, sets me back a lot farther now. But yeah, it doesn't really reflect on the landlord or my renting experience as a whole. This is just my first frustrating thing, and it really wouldn't have been at all vlog worthy per se in terms of life altering, except it was the end of the month. I had stuff to pay, money to put in the accounts that don't go into specific accounts because of all the crap I've been through in the past. I don't trust banks at all, period. Much at all, like I used to at all, and I've got multiple fail-safes set into place that kind of make things a little complicated once in a while, but they have worked out well for me. But it kind of is what it is. One day at a time, one step at a time. Don't sweat the small stuff. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's Vlogs. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.